Hi, I'm Ben Quiggle, and this is another episode of WCM's Connections. And we're getting, by the time this comes out, it'll be tax season will be done. So maybe our guest today will be able to take a breath of fresh air, and maybe relax a little bit. Our guest today is Tyler Otto, president and owner of Specialized Accounting. And before we started the recording, I know, Tyler, you had talked a little bit about how you got into the accounting business, which for me, as a guy who hates math, people who enjoy accounting are weird people. So
We're a sick, twisted bunch. Yes.
I guess you're a weird person, Tyler, and your
Yep.
wife, because your wife is actually the one who had started this business, and then you kind of took it over, right?
I mean, that was a very generous way of saying I stole or usurped her business, but sure, let's run with it. Yeah. Tyler Otto is Specialized Accounting. So the story you're alluding to there is, I used to be in corporate hotel finance. So like
Yeah.
five-star luxury hotels like Montage. I was at Vail Ski Resorts, smaller asset management companies. And my wife, as we started to have kids, she wanted something she could do from home on the side. She started a bookkeeping business. And by the way, she has a master's degree in biomedical engineering, so I don't know why she wanted to make that switch. But hey, fast forward, we all know what happened in 2020, and hotels didn't do that well. My job was going to disappear, and it was, well, do I go plead, the big hotels for a job during the pandemic, or do we take, her bookkeeping business and turn it into an accounting empire for the hospitality space, since this is what I know and love? And so we took a gamble. Could we pay our mortgage? Now, we're 16 employees deep, and I mean, the outdoor hospitality industry is where we love. We kind of stumbled into hanging out with y'all because we started with hotels, and a lot of our hotel owners that we worked with also owned glampgrounds and campgrounds and RV resorts. And we end up at the glamping show, and, the rest is history. We just get connected to y'all.
And I was on your website, and I saw that your wife Karen still has a headshot on there, so she must still be in the background somewhere, right?
I mean, she's still making sure, all the employees get paid, stuff happens. And I mean, let's be honest, she's my boss in life. She's my boss still in the business. She's really the ultimate success story, right? She started a business, found a goon to run it for her, and she collects a paycheck. So, I mean, she's a winner.
So you mentioned you were in the hotel industry, and I guess,
Yes, sir.
you kind of switched over to this area. I guess take us through a little bit about what that process was like. Is it, were you surprised when you made the switch at how different it was, or is it pretty similar on the bookkeeping side to what you were doing in the hotel industry?
It's actually terrifyingly similar, to the point where when we talk to investors and lenders in the space, they don't know the difference between hotels and campgrounds when it comes to accounting, because there's this book called The Uniform Systems of Accounts for the Lodging Industry. That's what investors and lenders are usually looking for when they want to compare a $250,000 a year RV park to a 80 million a year hotel. They still want to compare apples to apples. So surprisingly, it was a very smooth transition for us, especially with a lot of our clients owning both hotels and campgrounds and RV parks, because they're so similar in maintenance and, booking out reservations way in advance.
Yeah, I guess, what's been your experience as far as are you involved in a lot of the sales process where people want you to kind of look at books and decide, if this is a viable project, I guess?
Absolutely. We have a lot of people that will come to us and like, hey, we found a really cool campground, 3 hours outside of town that we want to buy. Would you look at the financials? And I mean, we've seen everything. We've seen, people in the middle of nowhere who have a surprisingly in-depth knowledge of the accounting industry. And we've found blatant fraud and, misrepresented financials getting in there and looking at stuff. So it's been a fun industry to get involved and really kind of be a partner to these people, either looking to start their journey, or we've had several clients sell their business. And it's kind of fun because we end up usually staying on with the new buyers as well. So it's been fun.
All right. Without telling us any names, obviously, what's
Yeah.
the most shocking experience you've had going into books for an RV park or campground? Like, are there people still like using pen and paper out there?
Yeah. Well, there's tons of it. But no, we have found their prior accountants embezzling funds and hiding money. We've found them trying to claim IVF treatments, trying to get pregnant as business expenses. Yeah, I don't know how they think you're hiding that 20 grand. I mean, we found everything from illegal drugs, paying for employees' bail, Like, yeah, you find
Holy
those
man.
interesting things when you say, "What's this?" And you can't guess that that answer is coming out of their mouth.
No, that's crazy. What are the types of things that people are doing that maybe they're like, I didn't know I shouldn't be doing that. Do you run into that all the time?
Well, it's funny because people would be like, "Well, my friend said I could do this, or I saw it on TikTok." I love TikTok tax advice. Oh my goodness, because it's I saw someone else do it, and it's like, yeah, I can get you 5 articles this week of some accountant getting indicted for fraud. Like, you can put whatever you want on that tax return. Doesn't mean the IRS isn't going to say bullcrap when they look at it. So, we'll see a lot of people that they'll try to say like their dog is a dependent, or they're paying their 2-year-old 30 grand a year to do maintenance work and avoid self-employment taxes on it. Like, we just see weird stuff where you like, do you think in any world in tax court that will be upheld? But, people try stuff.
People try stuff? Yes, they do. They try stuff all the time in all different areas of life. I think you're kind of like probably lumped in with insurance, right? People
Oh, yeah.
don't really want you, but maybe they kind of need you, I guess.
We're a necessary evil, but that was a much nicer way of saying it. No, I mean, there are sexy purchases in your business that you're really excited to spend money on. And then there are those things that, yep, like insurance, you don't really need it until you need it. And it's the same thing with, good accounting, good records. But I mean, a lot of people look at the accounting as like a necessary evil. And if you get some good tax planning, we had a client last week. I think their final bill with us was 4 grand for the year, and we found like $26,000 to give back. That's the best game ever of give me a nickel, I'll give you $1 back. Oh, I love that game.
So, are there people that you run into that do their own accounting or that you've taken over that do their own accounting and they realized, wow, we really are missing a lot of this money? Kind of like what you
Yeah,
mentioned, I guess.
absolutely. I mean, we've seen all walks of life because there's also some people where I'm like, how did you learn this? Like, how did you get it this good without ever going to school? Some people, it just clicks.
Yeah.
Other people, it's the people that lack attention to detail. It's somehow they can just like ignore this magical thing called the balance sheet and not realize they're misrepresenting their revenue by 3x. We encounter a lot of those scenarios, and it's just there's an ignorance level of if you don't know what you don't know,
Yeah.
how can you be aware that anything's ever wrong? So yeah, we see it all over the gamut, but it's hard. I'm a business owner. There's some things that you have to DIY for a while until you can afford the help you need.
Yeah. I guess, you know, and I think that in our society today, we see so many commercials about just websites, AI helping us out. So maybe people are trusting, AI type programs and stuff to just, file their taxes and do their stuff, I guess.
I mean, there are so many people that are trying it. I mean, we're using AI on our firm, and I still struggle with it every day. To this moment, you can go ask Perplexity how many R's are in the word strawberry. It'll get it wrong. You can ask ChatGPT. I need to get the tires rotated on my car, and the mechanic is only 100 feet down the street. Should I drive or walk? It'll recommend you stretch your legs and walk there to get your tires rotated. Like, it doesn't think through context as well as it should, thinking that maybe we need the car at the mechanics to get the tires rotated. No, and so many things will happen with tax advice as well. Well, people will just assume, well, the bot said it's right. No, you need someone that can double check the work of the bot, and then the bot can crank out a lot more work than a human ever can. It needs oversight.
So when you started, looking at the outdoor hospitality industry, were you expecting the type of business I mean, from everything I see, you guys are like busy all the time.
I mean, I had to bring on a full-time sales guy because just the amount of calls we get. Yeah, it's an industry that is ever changing. There's
Yeah.
some amazing operators that have grown their business and they're selling and getting out. There's new ones wanting to get in, some exciting projects going on. And yeah, it's a space that I don't think many people are aware how lucrative and profitable it is if you have a good product and you know how to market it and sell it well and you price right. But, we got our introduction to this industry through the glamping show. And yeah, I mean, some of those clients we got, they're doing $400-500 a night, totally fine. And then, yeah, we got some other campgrounds, doing 75-80 a night, and they can still make the margins work. There is no one path to success for this industry.
Yeah. When I talk to I typically will talk to insurance people too. And insurance is another area where it's really technical.
Mhm.
um, uh, when I talk to them, I always ask them, what's some of the things you're worried about when you look at the industry as far as how they handle insurance? I guess I would ask you the same question. Are there things that you're like, wow, this industry is really needs to change something, or they're going to run into issues, or already are running into issues, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, luckily I can say the hospitality industry has been coming a lot more into the 20th century than some other industries. And it's honestly, I think it's mostly driven by the PMS systems. You
Yeah.
you know, you look at CampSpot, you look at CloudBeds, you look at ResNexus and Think Reservation Stateless. Like a lot of them are pushing the needle to really help customers get their accounting right, get their finances right. And one of the biggest issues we see for the hospitality industry is, let's look at like advanced deposits. So you're sitting on 80 grand at the end of 2025 for
Uh,
reservations for 2026. Well, a lot of people would just say, well, I collected that money in 2025. That's 2025's revenue. And they're paying taxes on it a year earlier than they should have to. If you're looking at a 10% bracket, that's still 8 grand that you could sit on for an entire year and earn the interest on, invest it, use it, rather than let the IRS. And these PMSs, they're forcing customers to recognize the revenue correctly and get those benefits. So I think actually, those PMSs, they're pushing the industry forward in a really cool way.
yeah, I know you guys do payroll services. What's that
Yep.
like? Do you help campgrounds navigate complicated work camper relationships? What's that
Uh,
like?
I mean, yeah, the employee side, yes. It's every state's different. So it's not like I'm going to say we know every territory because every
Yeah.
county can have its own rules. And I mean, there's some states where it's like, oh, I have to call the state agency. Cool, no problem. Wisconsin, they're lovely. And then you have to call Florida and you just like have to emotionally prepare yourself for verbal abuse. But all that being said, like, it's definitely one of those things that the role of the accountant seems to have evolved over the years from just, hey, let's plug in numbers. You're kind of a borderline HR compliance specialist. You're borderline tax compliance, like state registration. And then you're a little bit of an IT guy as well, making sure your payroll system talks to your accounting system, talks to your PMS, talks to your time tracking. So there's a lot that goes into it, but I don't know. It's a fun world for us because it's bringing it all together in a tech stack that makes sense for the customer is the real value these days.
Yeah. Yeah. When you look at trends in the industry, I guess, I mean, I hear Woodalls, I hear tons of different things as far as how business is going and everything. I guess what do you hear from your clients as far as how business is going? Like how did it go in 2025? How's it going so far, I guess?
Yeah, yeah. It's really interesting because I can't say there's a blanket statement of how it's going, but it's different market segments.
Yeah.
We have some clients that, they bought really high end ADR properties and they're struggling. We have some other ones that, they're developing new land for new offerings in areas that are underserved and they are crushing it, just absolutely crushing it. So, new product lines and then, this whole Instagram culture where people are looking for that unique experience to show off online to brag about, look what I did, having some sort of cool amenity. We got this one client with just the most absurd driving range on their RV resort, going uphill into the mountains as you're
Yep.
looking over this, like right next to the winery. And or not winery, but like the wine shop or wherever you serve wine, whatever you want to call that. But it's like things like that, people want to show off that experience. And people that have really mastered advertising that, they're just crushing it right now.
Yeah. One of the things I didn't realize when I got into this industry was how many unique places I would see and how it really influenced my desire to travel more. Has
Yep.
that been the same for you?
It really, I mean, you and I talked a little bit beforehand. I've got younger boys, 5 and 9. We're just
Yeah.
finally to the point with that 5-year-old where we'll definitely travel a bit more. And I'm always making my list of like, all right, which clients are we going to try and go visit next? Which ones are we going to figure out how to go stay at their campground or their RV park, in the near future? Because there's just so many neat properties out there across this country and they all have their own unique offering.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you guys could get a big class A and just wrap it in specialized accounting stuff.
We absolutely
There you go.
should.
Count it as a business expense.
Yeah, no, right? Absolutely. Just telling my employees who get profit share, hey, profit share is going to be down this month. Had a necessary business expense coming up.
Necessary business expense.
Yeah.
I'm buying a class A. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess, when I, man, I lost my train of thought, which happens when you get older like me. So I guess, do you still do stuff in the hotel accounting industry, I guess, as well as the outdoor hospitality?
Yeah, it's odd because you never find, someone that has a couple RV resorts that they also then own hotels. And then oddly enough, we have a lot of restaurants because a lot of these properties, they'll have a food and beverage component. One of the campgrounds we onboarded last week, they not only have a massive retail store, they also have a massive restaurant on site. We got really deep into marinas as well. The amount of places that
Yeah.
they have a marina component. So now we're at marina conferences because we're really tight with all the MMSs, the marina management software. So it's this whole industry of just service-based businesses that you would find traditionally at hotels. It's also here at campgrounds. So it's fun.
Yeah. You mentioned a little bit about tax court earlier in the,
Mm.
recording. I guess what's that like? Do you deal with a lot of businesses that have like audits and tax court? I guess how should people prepare for that?
Yeah, so that's a tough one because so we have some clients that have had audits and issues. To be honest, if you got a competent accountant, the work's already been done. Like the backup
Yeah.
documents are attached to your financials, whether you're using Sage, QuickBooks, NetSuite, Zero. The audit support's already there and it's an easy exercise. It's when clients decided they're going to do something sketchy, go solo, and then they call us up and they're like, hey, no, I need someone to help defend this. I claimed a guinea pig was a business expense and now I need some help justifying it. It's like, yeah, we're not going to help you with that. And that's always the hardest stuff is like decisions that they reach out and they're like, hey, I know I shouldn't have done this, but can you help me get out of it? And so my biggest thing is like, we always go by the saying, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered, right? Taxes are a gray area where there is so much argument of like, oh, this is allowable, this isn't, what's reasonable? And we always encourage people like, get aggressive. Like there's some aggressive things we can do, right? Pigs get fat, like feel free to eat up. But if, paying your kids to work in your business, you can go up to the standard deductions without taxes. So if that's 16,500 this year, if you pay your kids exactly to the standard deduction, 16,500 every year, an auditor is going to look at that and be like, okay, that's a lie. Like no one's payroll is exactly the standard deduction every year. Now you're likely going to get audited. So be reasonable. Is it 10 grand? Cool. Go with 10 grand this year, pay your kids the right amount, take the right deductions. If you go for getting every penny you can, odds are you're going to get caught and get audited. So pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good situation. I get a good analogy there. So
That's
what's the number? Well, you kind of talked about it a little bit where people kind of expand their business, expenses in areas they probably shouldn't. Do you think some of that's on purpose or do you think some of it's just people not understanding how to operate a business effectively, I guess? Or maybe that's a harsh way to put it.
I don't know, because I might cause like marital trauma to like some of your listeners, because it always seems like we get a husband-wife combo that bought the business. And I'm not going to say it's always the husband or the wife, but one of them is always the penny pincher, help close the deal on the business, get me going. And the other one is, look at this new cool tool we can buy. And so if you have multiple owners, first off, we see misalignment of owners of like, what's the priority? One is like, let's deliver the most amazing experience. And one is like, let's make this profitable. So those are kind of some of the issues we see with just like not being able to manage it. But then other times, yeah, people will, have a small campground, it's doing okay, and then they experience that success, that bit of success. And so they spend a little more, and then they get in this cycle of overspending, and that's where you kind of have to help rein them in. And that's where, any accountant you're working with, good bookkeeper, you should be able to see what your cost per occupied room is, what your average utility spend per occupied room is, your
Yeah.
labor margins, those things you can track that you have control of. If you got no visibility, you're flying blind and it's just a matter of time before you crash.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's kind of an interesting, I think my wife and I would probably be in trouble because I think we both like to spend. It's
But as long as you're on the same page, everything's golden.
when people are looking to buy a park, I guess what are some of the things that you recommend that they look at, as they're going through their due diligence process when it comes to the
Yeah.
financial side?
Oh, man. Okay. Well, we got 3 hours for this, right?
3
Is
hours.
is that?
Yeah. You got 2
Uh,
minutes.
okay, 2 minutes. Well, let's say, okay, the number one things that I would be looking for. I mean, obviously, you want to see prior financials and you want to verify stuff to the bank statement. So you want to see bank statements confirming the amount in, amount out. You also want to be able to track it to some property management system. Regardless of what it is, You want to be able to tie back what they're claiming in revenue and what's advanced deposits. Because a lot of times people will be like, look how profitable we were. But it's like, that's all money for next year. That doesn't count for last year. You want to get kind of a real picture. Also, we do this thing called normalizing. One of the key normalizations is they might not be taking a salary as business owners. And I don't know about you, but if I buy a campground, I want to buy a business, not a job, which means I want that business to include a general manager or someone running the place. Sometimes there's no payroll, or we've had some clients where it's like a family thing where like 6 different distant relatives live at the hotel or campground for free and they do work for free. And so it's nowhere on the financials. So a lot of those normalizing expenses back in is probably the biggest thing I'm concerned about.
Yeah, yeah. And what do you tell people who are watching, and they're sitting there like, I don't need him and his fancy, specialized accounting company to handle my
I
business.
mean,
What do you tell people like that?
first of all, nobody needs me. I mean, come on, I'm
Nobody
prone to
needs.
break out in 80s lyrics and dad jokes at any moment. Who wants that? Beyond that, though, I mean, no. I mean, first of all, if your business is small and your liability isn't huge, at some point there is no cost benefit analysis to get a good accountant in there. If you're running a 60,000 a year campground, maybe you do keep DIYing. It's fine. But if your ambition is to build, grow, expand, buy more campgrounds, really go to the next level, there are so many games that can be played. And a lot of those tax games disappear on December 31st. So if you want to make changes for 2026, you got to start doing them now, because you're going to miss the boat if you wait till later in the year and maybe the ship's gone by. So my big thing is like, there's always a cost benefit analysis. Can't hurt to talk to a good accountant, but just because someone's a CPA doesn't mean they understand tax strategy or campgrounds at all. There are so many firms that only pick a specialization, like lawyers, like nonprofits. We pick hospitality. So find someone that knows your space.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something I've learned since coming into the outdoor hospitality industry is, on the lawyer, the accounting, even on the marketing. And, people with experience in the industry definitely are better than, maybe people who have no experience in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
But and if they don't want to deal with you, I guess they could always go to Karen, right? Your
There you
wife.
go. Even better. Although poor woman, her name's got dragged through the mud the last couple of
Oh,
years.
yeah.
But yes, they can go to her.
Okay, well, how do people get in contact with you if they're interested in learning more about specialized accounting?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to www.specializedat.com. Specialized, A is in accounting, T is in taxes. Or email us hello@specializedat, or find me on LinkedIn. I love to goof off on there. You'll get a dad joke every Friday at least, and we're constantly posting industry updates. So love to
Yeah,
connect with you.
yeah, and I know you've done some things with the Glamping Association. I think you've done some webinars with them here
Yep.
recently too. And then
Yep. Yesterday.
you're generally out and about at some industry conferences
Yeah.
or writing or doing things on LinkedIn. So I guess,
Yeah, I think we'll be at like Ojai this year. We'll be at Glamping Show. I think we're speaking at Florida, Alabama conference, maybe hitting Wisconsin, Waco. Like, we got so much coming up.
yeah, yeah. So, okay. Well, thank you, Tyler, for taking the time to be on the show.
Absolutely, sir. See you around.
Yeah. Talk to you later. And thanks everyone for watching.